Frontline with Kortney Kenny, and I'm Tom Parisi, and today we got a great set of guests. Hey, I'm Tom Parisi. He's Kortney Kenny with another episode of the Frontline podcast, the official podcast of your North Bay Battalion. And today we are blessed to have on the show former Brampton, North Bay Battalion, Springfield Falcon, Tucson Roadrunner, San Jose Barracuda, Charlotte Checker, Grand Rapid Griffin, and most recently Frankfurt Lion, Kyle Wood. Kyle, we are so happy to have you on the show, but I got to blast this one past you quickly. Did you know in Grand Rapids Griffin's history, you're only one of 3 players to wear the number 36 and the first player not a goalie to wear it?
I had absolutely no idea.
That's the level of digging I did last night. It's a bit too crazy, but we're happy to have you. And before you were talking to us, or before we started the podcast, you were mentioning you're about a week in to a 2-week quarantine. You just got back from Frankfurt. Tell us about how many times have you had to quarantine this year?
So when I first originally went there at the end of October, it wasn't too bad there. I maybe had to quarantine for 2 or 3 days there. Just had to wait for my test results, and then I was able to go practice and play and stuff like that. And then, in the middle of the season, we had a couple positive tests on our team. So then that week or so, I think it was 10 days we had to quarantine just in our apartments in Germany, in Frankfurt, which, that was a tough time for sure. Very boring. Obviously in the middle of the season, not being able to skate for about 10 days definitely takes it out of you. But and then the rest of the season was fine. And then obviously on the way home, there was a bunch of stuff we had to do. And, we stayed in the hotel for about a couple of days when we got back to Toronto. And now I think this is maybe day 8 for me. So got a little bit ways to go. But it's definitely a crazy year, that's for sure.
What are you doing to kind of spend time while you're basically stuck doing nothing?
I got hurt in the playoffs actually there. So I've just kind of I'm wearing a brace right now, and I just got off crutches. So I'm just kind of trying to do some exercises for my knee and stuff like that. But, obviously my mom and my stepdad are here. So I'm just trying to hang out, and my brother as well. So just trying to hang out with them because I haven't seen them for about 6 months. So it's, just trying to hang out with family, try and get some downtime in right now for sure.
Let's talk about that decision to move to Germany to play some hockey. I mean, that's not easy to do. Take us through how it all kind of got together.
So I ended the season in Grand Rapids, and Detroit said that they just weren't going to qualify me. So I was pretty much a free agent at that point. And, it was just, throughout the summer, it was crazy. Nobody knew what was going to happen with the NHL or even the AHL. So it was a tough decision, and I think I made it in the middle of October. My agents just said, obviously things are going to be crazy in the AHL this year. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. So I think this is a good opportunity for you. And, so obviously I had to make the decision, and it happened all pretty quick. Within a week I was flying out, and, I had to get used to a different country and stuff like that. But I think it was just, it kind of made the decision a little easier because nobody still at that point knew if anything was going to happen in North America. So I think a lot of guys did that. And, it was just a decision that had to be made for sure.
Of course, in normal circumstances, it's tough to get used to a new country in general. But how tough was it during a global pandemic?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I think my first day there, when I got there, was the last day that everything was open. So I got to go to one restaurant that night, and then the whole rest of the 6 months I was there, didn't get to go into another restaurant. The downtown stores were maybe open for a month or two, and then they shut everything down again. So I really didn't get to see much of Germany, which is it's really too bad. And then obviously we didn't have any fans as well, so that definitely made it a little worse. But definitely not the most ideal first season in Europe, that's for sure.
My kind of follow up to that, sorry Tom, is you mentioned you didn't get to see much of Germany. How frustrating is that you're in this country that's so rich with history and you can't really go and see any of it?
Yeah, it was definitely tough. I had my girlfriend there as well. She was working, like she could do her job remotely. So the time change kind of made things difficult. But even then, still at night, I mean, there was nothing to do, and it was just crazy. I mean, it was just something that we never gone through, and hopefully we don't have to do it again. That's for sure.
We've heard stories on other podcasts about, players playing in Europe who aren't used to it. And sometimes there's some horror stories, but is it that bad playing in the German league?
No, I never had any horror stories. Probably the biggest change was, if we played on a Friday and this place was 5 or 6 hours away, we would have to bus that morning. So there was no like hotels or anything. So it was kind of like back to junior, traveling the day of the game, trying to get a nap in on the bus. But that was kind of the biggest difference. Other than that, it was same pro hockey. At the end of the year when we got shut down for a couple of weeks, we had to make up a bunch of games. So we were literally playing every other day for maybe the last 2 months of the season. So that was pretty tough. But no, I mean, everything was good. The hockey was good. The organization I was with was awesome. So no horror stories from my part, but like you said, I've heard some, so it was kind of didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew a couple guys that were on the team and they said everything was great. And so it worked out pretty well, other than, couldn't see anything, obviously.
How important was it to have so many, like there's a lot of guys, I was looking at the team, there's a lot of Canadian guys on that team. How important was that?
Yeah, it was definitely a big deal. There's a couple guys that live in Waterloo in the summer. So I knew them previously going to that team. And, there was obviously a lot of maybe 3 or 4 guys that weren't technically imports because they have like their German passport, but they helped out, obviously speaking English and stuff like that. Definitely helped out with that. So it made me a little more comfortable. But there was still a lot of German being spoken in the room and stuff, which kind of sucked at sometimes.
Did you pick up on it?
I got like little sayings here and there, but when like there's no chance I could have a conversation with any of them, or if the coach is talking in German, there's no way I'm picking up what he's saying. But most of the time it was pretty good. There's a lot of guys that spoke English, and the coach spoke English when he could, so it wasn't that bad in that respect.
The only German word I know 100% is nine, and that straight up stems from watching Inglorious Bastards. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I mean, I got maybe thank you and obviously hello and stuff like that. But other than that, there's no way I could have a conversation with somebody. That's for sure.
That's fantastic. So let's turn back the clock a little bit and talk about your one season in Brampton and your 3 next in North Bay. Just take us through what the whole major junior experience was like for you.
Yeah, I had a maybe different road than some guys, but I was drafted by Brampton in the 3rd round. And then my next year, I kind of went into camp, not really knowing what was going to happen. I was planning on coming back and playing junior B here in Waterloo. Didn't really know if they wanted to sign me or play me or whatever. And then they wanted to, after the main camp, they wanted to sign me, but they said that, you have to go play in Orangeville for the whole season. And then we might call you up and you're going to live in Brampton with a billet and you're going to have to drive to Orangeville and, practice with them. So it was a pretty crazy first year. So I ended up living in Brampton with billets. I had somebody from the Orangeville. I didn't have a car at the time, so somebody from the Orangeville team had to pick me up every day, drive me to Orangeville for practice whenever we had a game or something like that. And then when we did have an off day for Orangeville, I would go practice with Brampton. So for that year, I was probably on the ice, I would say, honestly, every day. So it was a pretty crazy first year, but it was good. I think I ended up playing maybe 15 games with Brampton that year, something like that. And then I ended up playing the first round of the playoffs with them, actually, against Sudbury. So it worked out to be good, but it was a lot of traveling, that's for sure. But I had a great first year with Brampton. Then obviously, everybody knowing that it was our last game in Brampton, and then the team was moving to North Bay made it a little more emotional at the end of the playoffs there for the older guys. So, but it was a good first year, that's for sure.
Well, for anybody listening, the trip to Brampton to Orangeville with good traffic is about a half an hour on a good day. On a good day.
Yeah, there was traffic too, because at that time a lot of guys are still in high school and stuff, right? So we practiced at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. So it was a long trek, but it was worth it, obviously.
So how weird is that? What was the move like from your perspective? Because you're kind of on the fringe of the roster at that point, and then you're playing the playoffs and you're in the last ever game that the Brampton Battalion played. Like, what was the whole experience like for you?
It was difficult because there was a guy there, Mark Raycroft. He was like probably one of my best friends. He was a D-man, and he was with the team all year, and he was, whenever they wanted me to play, he was the guy sitting out. And obviously he was there, and he didn't get to play any of the playoff games, so I kind of felt bad, obviously, but it was a good experience for me. I didn't really expect to honestly even make the team or play any games at all. So it was a good experience, and obviously being in that last playoff series against Sudbury, it was pretty emotional. And then that last game, I think we lost in overtime actually, in Game 5 in Brampton. So it was pretty. It gives me chills a little bit because the older guys that have been there for so long, like Cameron Wynn was there, and Zach Bell, and those guys, it was their last game, and they were there for 4 or 5 years. So it was pretty crazy, but it was obviously good for me to play those playoff games and get some games in for sure.
Were you a part? We've heard this story from a couple of guys now. Were you a part of that team that came up and practiced at Memorial Gardens before the move?
Yeah, we did. I think it was that year, right? Like the last year in Brampton, we drove to North Bay and we practiced. Was it an outdoor practice even, or no? I don't think so.
No, it was
inside.
Yeah, there was an outdoor practice, I think, the first full year you guys were here.
Yeah, that might have been what I'm thinking of. But yeah, I think I do remember that we traveled up to North Bay and practiced in front of the fans and stuff. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
What was your first impressions of the city? Like, you probably drove through it and whatnot a couple times to get to the Sioux, or maybe you went through the United States. Doesn't matter. But what was your first impression of North Bay? Be on
it. I think going into it, I didn't really know what to think. I think we knew that it was going to be a really good hockey city. So I mean, we knew that the fans were going to be awesome, and they were going to treat us good whenever they saw us in public and stuff like that. So but I think we didn't really get to see much of the city when we went up there. I don't really remember a lot of it, but I do remember practicing, and the arena was pretty much full, I think. So it was good, but then I didn't really get to see a lot of it, but I was excited to get up there. It was a definitely different change hockey wise from Brampton. That's
well,
how
cool was it to actually you go to Burger World or something like that and someone wants an autograph? How big of a change was that?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. When they see us around town, or we go to Burger World, like you said, there's fans obviously staring and wanting to come up to us, and we might get a meal free here or there. So it was pretty cool. It was an awesome experience. And, you would get nothing like that in Brampton. I went to high school there, actually, a street down from the rink in Brampton. Yep. So, and nobody really knew even who we were. So, I mean, in North Bay, that wouldn't happen. The school we went to there was awesome, and everybody knew who we were. So it was a big change for sure.
Up until last year, they were still playing an ad for Burger World, and I just remember Barkley and Matt McLeod for sure in the advertisement, but I can't remember who else. But they were still playing an ad from that first year for Burger World. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was our spot for sure. After practice or morning workout or something, we go there and get some breakfast. So they're really good to us there, and I miss that spot for sure.
So your first year in North Bay, though, you can't really get going right away, because correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you were injured for almost the first half of the season. It was quite a long slog.
Yeah. I was never really hurt before that, so it was kind of a different experience for me. I think it was in one of the inter squad games. I just fell on my knee a little wrong, and I maybe chipped like a piece of bone off or something like that. So they had to go in and scope it and take the piece off, and then I had to recover. Yeah, like you said, I think I missed probably the first half of the year, the first year, and then the team was doing well, and um, I came back, and then we made that deep playoff run. So it was definitely too bad that I missed the first half of the year, but it was good to be back and stay healthy for the rest of the year, and go on that awesome playoff run in front of the fans, and to do it in the first year of North Bay, like, you can't ask for anything better than that.
We often ask the players who went through that run, describe the atmosphere of the Gardens during the playoffs.
It was electric. I mean, it was unbelievable. I can still remember. I think you guys posted it maybe a month or so. Jamie Lewis's goal. Yeah, I was on the ice for that, and I don't think I've ever been in an arena louder than that after he scored that. So it was a pretty awesome to experience that, and be a part of that team. Like, it's something that you'll never forget for sure.
What's it like? So you say you're on the ice for that Jamie Lewis goal. What's it like from there on out, counting down the seconds until the clock goes? And I mean, because I don't think anybody expected you guys to sweep Oshawa in that round. Like, because Oshawa was way ahead of you guys in point wise.
Right.
But there you go, you sweep them and you're Eastern Conference champions. So like, what was that like, the whole countdown?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I kind of forget what was going on, but yeah, I mean, what was there, like 7 or 8 minutes left, something like that, or was it less than that?
I think it was around 5 minutes left.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
Yeah,
but...
yeah, it was wild. Like, going into that series, I mean, we thought it was going to be a tough series for sure, but to be up 3-0 and playing at our barn for game 4, we really wanted to win that game, obviously, to win it at home, that series. So to get that goal and to count down those minutes with those fans, it was and obviously to celebrate after, lift a trophy. Or touch a trophy. I've never really won anything before up to that. So yeah, it's definitely one of those games that you'll never forget for sure.
Be honest. An outlet pass goes up to Jamie Lewis. Do you think he's actually going to score? Like, did you expect something was happening?
Honestly, I think I kind of remember the play. I maybe went D to D to Miller, and then he passed it up to Louis, and he maybe just went right up the middle. I honestly don't know where that came from him, honestly. That little slap shot from right inside the blue line. So it's pretty cool. Like, he was one of the most loved guys on the team, and to see one of him score that goal just made it even better. Obviously he wasn't really known for his point producing that year, I don't think, and being on the line with Jarvie and Sants, like, that was probably one of our best lines in the playoffs. So to see him score that and be on the ice to celebrate came out of nowhere, but it was happened to a good guy, that's for sure.
We'll have to ask him when we finally have him on if he expected that to go in too, because I think he just threw it on net just to throw it on net.
Yeah, he probably closed his eyes there and just hoped for the best. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see his point of view for sure.
So yeah, but looking at the regular season, I mean, 12 points in 33 games in your first year as a regular on the team isn't bad. But then in the playoffs, you step it up and put 10 points in 22 games as essentially a rookie defenseman. Like, where did you find your game? Like, what kind of clicked for you?
Honestly, I think it was, getting the confidence and playing with Millsy. Having one of those older guys that was there to, if you made a mistake, he was pretty hard on you and hard on everybody, but no, he was a good leader. He was probably one of our best leaders that year, and he's very vocal, and I think that helped me go get through that year and kind of build some chemistry in the last part of the year when I missed the first half. So but it was good. He really gave me that confidence to try and make plays, be smart with the puck. And in the playoffs, like you said, we made an awesome run, and obviously I wouldn't have those points without the guys scoring. And I don't think I was on the power play that year, so I was obviously just making the right plays and getting the puck up to the forwards and letting them do the job. So I can't credit it. Obviously, we had a good team made to the finals that year, so that definitely helps. But I think having a good partner like that gives you the confidence, definitely as a rookie, to step up in big situations.
When you we also kind of tend to ask this of almost everybody that's part of that team. You're down 3-1 to Niagara in the first round. We're kind of jumping all over the place here, but down 3-1 to Niagara, and you guys make that comeback in that series. What was that kind of like? Just going back like that.
Yeah, that was that was a tough start for us. I don't remember really a lot of that series, but I remember in game 5, I think it was Goody stepped up and was just like, after game 4, it was like, boys, we're way better than this, and we can come back in this series. And I think everyone truly believed it. Obviously there's sometimes when you're down 3-1 against a better team, you're just like, there's no way that we can come back. But after that, driving to Niagara, I think for game 5 was we had to win. And after we won that game, I think it gave us the confidence to obviously battle back and win in 7. So I don't think we were ever out of it. We never really hung our heads, but yeah, that was definitely kind of what started the rest of our playoff run, having that confidence, being down 3-1. And then, after that, we were like, we can pretty much do whatever we want after that. So
So the next year, you and Miller basically go on quite the run offensively as a tandem. Yeah. I think you were pretty close to the OHL or the battalion record for goals in a season by a defenseman. I think you put in 16. I think the record was 18 or something like that. What was that season like? Where just everything was fine in the back of the net?
Yeah, I mean, I've played that position on my one-timer a little bit here and there, but I think that was the season where I really, was able to, solidify my spot on the power play. And, I think, obviously being on there from day one gave me the confidence. And, I think I had a pretty good start of the season, good month or so. I obviously had some goals and gave me that confidence. And, obviously being with Millsy again, he was leading the power play there at the top, and he was the one giving me passes. And, I think Ammo was on the other side. So, I mean, it was just a perfect power play. You had Millsy at the top ready for a 1T pass from me, or and then he could give it right back to me also. So it was just a great setup. And, obviously I was lucky enough to score 16 that year. So it was definitely a great year for us. And, obviously we had a good team as well that year again.
And the next year, I was just looking at the stats last night. Next year, you put up almost as many points in like 20 less games, almost 20 less games. I mean, it was just clicking for you on all cylinders. And that was the year just before I got there. So sadly, I missed it. But, at the end of the year, you get an amateur tryout with the Springfield Falcons in the American Hockey League. Did that come out was that a bit of a surprise? Because we know you were drafted by Colorado, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But talk about that amateur tryout.
So I think that year, my last year in North Bay, I was obviously drafted to Colorado 2 seasons before that. And then at that trade deadline, I was traded to Arizona, kind of out of nowhere. I wasn't really expecting that at all. Funny story was, I think the Colorado skating coach came up to North Bay that weekend or that week or something. And then the day of the trade deadline, I got traded to Arizona. So she came up pretty much for nothing. I think she maybe still did 1 session with me, and then she had to go right back. I felt so bad, but that was crazy. And then at the end of the year, Arizona was pretty much like, we want to sign you to your entry level. We're just working on the paperwork. We'll sign you to PTO with Springfield, just so you can come and play a couple games at the end of the year. And I was like, I mean, I think it was literally maybe a day or two after the season ended in North Bay. And I mean, it was my last game in junior and last season, and I just kind of wanted to celebrate with, my teammates and stuff like that. But they're like, no, you got to fly out like 2 days after the season ended. So I wasn't really able to hang out with those guys and stuff like that, which I was kind of a little mad about. But yeah, I went to Springfield. I was maybe there for a week, and I just played a couple games on the weekend. And it was I think we played another team that really wasn't going to make the playoffs, so it wasn't really true pro hockey. But it was definitely a kind of a different change. Obviously it was a lot faster, and you're playing against 30-something-year-old guys, right? So it was a little different. So it was good to have those games under my belt going into my first year pro next year, obviously.
Well, Nick Paul was in the same boat where he got drafted to one team and then traded before he even set foot for another one. So
Right.
was it a bit? You said it came out of nowhere. What do they like? What do they tell you?
So it was, I think it was obviously the trade deadline. They have it on TSN and stuff like that, right? So I think I was actually watching like the trade center or whatever it's called. And my agent called me and he was like, yeah, you just got traded to Arizona. And they're probably going to be announcing it in like 30 minutes or an hour or so. And then like 10 or 15 minutes later, I was watching it on TV and they announced it while I was watching it. So it happened all very quickly. But yeah, my agent called me and just let me know. And then after it was official, I think, the head of their scouting and their GM at the time, I think it was Joe Sackett, maybe. He was the GM. And he gave me a call and it was pretty cool. And just said welcome and stuff like that. So it was a good experience for sure. I mean, it was nothing I've ever been. I never been traded. I never had to go to a different team or different organization like that in the middle of the season. So it was an experience, and obviously I went through that a couple more times in my career. So
before we get too far ahead, though, we mentioned obviously the trade from Colorado to Arizona, but what was that like? The initial getting drafted by Colorado, the actual draft itself.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Going through that process that summer, I maybe talked to 20 of the 30 teams or something like that. I forgot what it was. You go to dinner with a couple of their scouts, or they give you a call or something like that. And then my family actually went to Philadelphia that year where the draft was. So I was able to experience the whole thing. And then obviously I didn't go in the first round. So I was just expecting something to go in the second round, or the second day, sorry. And it's just very anxious. You have a couple teams that you think really like you, and then they passed me by a couple times where I thought I maybe could have gone. And then at the end of the third round, Colorado was one of the teams that I think really liked me. So and the funny story was, I think Amadio said that Colorado really liked him as well. So they started off by saying from the North Bay Battalion, and Amo actually thought that it was him maybe getting drafted at that time when he heard that. So, and then, yeah, it was pretty cool. And then obviously went up to their table and stuff like that and got the jersey. You have to go backstage and do like all the pictures and stuff like that, and a couple interviews.
How long does that take?
Not that long, maybe like by the time you actually hear your name and everything's done, it's probably like an hour. And then they have your family kind of in an area, and then like you go see them and stuff like that. So it's a pretty well set up process. And then I think like when I was waiting in line to get my picture and stuff like that, Amo walked up with his LA jersey on. And so we got to kind of go through it with each other, because I think he was 5 or 6 picks or something after me. So that was pretty cool. And all our families were together and stuff like that. So it was a pretty cool experience to kind of go with him. And I was with him for 4 years and stuff. So it was awesome to go to do that experience with him.
For those pictures, they just bring you into a dressing room with like generic gloves and a hockey stick and make you do those poses and whatnot.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. They're like, yeah, it's your turn. pick up a stick, pick up some gloves, and we'll tell you how to pose. And that's pretty much all. That's how it goes. Yeah.
I don't know if I wouldn't be able, like, I'd be laughing the whole time. It'd be such a crazy experience.
Yeah, it was. It just gives me chills still thinking about it. And then I think it was awesome that, Mike was there to do it with me. I think it made it even better. But yeah, it was probably one of the best days I've had in my hockey career for sure.
What's it kind of like? So you're playing major junior hockey, and you're with the North Bay Battalion, and then NHL teams are whining and dining you before the draft.
Yeah, it's because like all those rankings and stuff come out like in the middle of the season, right? So you kind of know that you're on the radar to maybe, get drafted or, have teams call about you and stuff like that. So you're kind of ready for it. And, I think teams called Stan and stuff about me. So he had some interviews and stuff like that. And then I think it was mostly in the summer after the season. You talk to them, and I think a couple times some teams came to Kitchener, Waterloo, and just had dinner with me. And it was definitely a neat experience. I mean, I was talking to some guys that went through it before me. They just said, be honest with them. And it was pretty cool, have your hockey career all weighed down to that those moments, obviously wanting to get drafted and that being a dream of yours. So it was a pretty cool summer, that's for sure.
They didn't ask you any strange questions or any weird crap like that, did they?
There was one question that a couple of them ended off with or something like that. It was, I don't know. I can't remember what it was, but a couple guys got the same question as me, but no, there was nothing crazy like that. But there was a couple questions that were a little weird for sure.
So your first full year in the AHL, you 43 points in 68 games as a rookie defenseman playing his first year of pro. What was going on for you that year? It was pretty impressive season by any means.
Yeah, that just stemmed off of, I think, obviously the year I had before, and being confident with the trade, obviously getting traded, a team really wanted you. And, obviously I was pretty comfortable in Arizona. I was put on the first power play from day one there in my one-timer spot. So somewhere I was really comfortable playing. Obviously those guys at the pro level and in the AHL are even better, passers and playmakers than the guys you're playing with in junior, right? So it made a little things easier, gave me a little more time to, shoot the puck and find my spot. I had another great start. I think the first month I was rookie of the month or player of the month or something like that. So I had another great start, and I don't think teams really honed in on me. And then, kind of at the end of the year, they were taking me away and slowed down a bit. But it was obviously one of my best seasons I've had in my career. So everything clicked that season for sure.
And of course, an AHL All-Star playing at in Allentown, Pennsylvania for the All-Star game. How fun was that?
Right. To hear that I was going to the game, and I think I had a couple teammates with me, so I didn't really know what to expect. I've never really been to an All-Star game before up to that, and it was another great opportunity for me, and it was fun. I mean, the first day is just the skills and stuff like that, and I wasn't in many. I wasn't the quickest guy out there, so I wasn't in the speed competition, but the slap shot, the hardest shot, that was definitely up my alley, and I honestly didn't even think I had a shot really. And then I ended up winning that, obviously. So it was pretty cool, and it was a great night. And then the day after, we did the little 3-on-3 games or whatever it was. So it was nice, and then my family was there to experience it as well. So it was definitely a great weekend, and one that I'll remember for a long time.
So I want to ask about your season in the San Jose organization. Was there any, did you get any message from your old captain in North Bay or anything when you were sent to San Jose?
I think he did message me just saying like welcome to San Jose and stuff like that. Nothing crazy. And then when I got to camp, um, we talked a little bit about how the season was after he left and stuff like that, and how's Stan doing, and just the normal stuff. And then we had Brent Burns as well was there, and he played for Stan in Brampton. So had some good laughs and stuff. But yeah, I didn't really get to see him that much. But yeah, we definitely exchanged pleasantries, that's for sure.
What was it like wearing the A that season?
Yeah, in North Bay, I think my last year I had an A, so it was nothing I was too different. But do it at the pro level was pretty cool. I think I was only 24 or 23 or 24 at that time, so it was pretty cool honor. Our team was very young that year, so I wasn't really standing out or anything. Being different, being one of those young guys that is a captain, but no, it was a great season. We had a good team that year, and I had some good numbers as well. So I really loved it in San Jose, and I wish I could have spent some more time there. But obviously, things change. But I loved it in San Jose.
What's the hockey atmosphere like in Tucson?
It was good. I mean, the first year, that was their first year that they had a hockey team there. So the fans were pretty cool. They were good. I wouldn't say they were sold out or anything like that, but we had good fans, and there was some super fans that hung out and stuff like that. Every team has that. So it was awesome, and you could golf every day if you wanted to. The weather was awesome. We had a pool in our little condo area, so the warm weather definitely made it better for sure.
Oh, what I would give to be able to go golfing right now.
I think that's a lot of us. Well,
yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to ask, because you touched on them very briefly there when you were in San Jose, and you're maybe limited, but maybe many interactions with Brent Burns. Is he as crazy as he seems?
He's a different character. Him and Jumbo together. It was pretty cool. There's a couple times at camp where I was on the same team as them, or working out at the same time as them, and they're just loud, boisterous guys. I mean, they're great teammates, and I think any team would be lucky to have those guys. But they're just loud, vocal, and will try and stir the pot wherever they can. So
going to all of these camps, was there ever a moment where you had to pinch yourself, type of thing, like, wow, I'm in the same room as so and so or whatever?
I think that happened a couple times when, like, my first couple times in Colorado, and then maybe my first time in Arizona, where it's just like, wow, I'm actually in the same room going against these guys that you watch on TV and that you think is just like an exceptional player, and you have to kind of battle with them. And it was definitely eye-opening the first couple times in Colorado, going against, McKinnon or Duchesne or Landeskog and stuff like that. But, I think I got used to it. You play pro a couple years, and you're just used to playing against older guys and against guys that have played in the NHL for a while that are just in the AHL right now. So, it gets to a point where you're used to it. And I think you're kind of think that you want to be better than these guys, not that you just want to, keep up with them, and that you can be better than these guys. So it gets to a point after the first couple times where you're starstruck, and then, you start to settle in, I think.
So some more trades start to happen, getting sent to Charlotte. So having to move all your stuff across the country. I mean,
Yeah.
that must have been a pain in the backside.
Yeah, it was tough because, like I said, I think that summer I re-signed with San Jose, so I was pretty excited already. Going ready to go back to San Jose, and I loved it there. And then I got a call somewhere at the end of the summer. I think they were like, "Yeah, you got traded to Carolina." So one of my best buddies in Waterloo plays on Carolina right now. And he was my roommate in Charlotte last year. So it was good. It was good to have somebody. They had a great group of guys in Charlotte, but yeah, it was definitely tough. You know, I left my furniture in San Jose because I thought I was going back there, and then you have to wait for it in Charlotte and stuff. So it was a lot to figure out. But once everything was figured out, it was a smooth transition for sure.
How's the how's your girlfriend take all of it? Unless you guys weren't together at the time, but I mean, luckily she works from home.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, those first like until this coming year, she was always had to go into work and stuff like that. So she was never really able to stay with me long term. I think maybe like a couple months in San Jose she was able to. But yeah, it's tough on her for sure. Trying to meet new girls and new girlfriends and stuff like that, where you meet friends. And she had a bunch of friends in Tucson after a couple years, and she never really got to see them again, honestly. So it's too bad. She's gone through a lot. So, but that's just how the hockey world works, I guess, right? So.
We obviously talking with the players and talking about moving and all that stuff, but you're touching on your relationship. How tough is that to kind of keep everything, stable when you're moving constantly?
Yeah, it's definitely tough. Like I said, I think that summer really took a toll on me, where I thought I was going back to San Jose, and then just one day you're going across the country, like you said. So it's definitely tough. Again, it's like this summer, like I have no idea what's going to happen, where I'm going to be next year. So it's definitely a tough business to be in. But like I said, it's just it's part of what you have to do to be a hockey player sometimes.
If the Europe side of things open up again, would you jump at the chance to go back overseas?
Yeah, I think at this point, I'm honestly open to anything. I just want it to be the right opportunity. I think I would really prefer to stay in North America, to get another chance and, work my way up again in the American League, and, have that opportunity again to obviously still fulfill my dream of playing in the NHL. So, but if the right team and the right offer and the right opportunity comes somewhere in Europe, I'm definitely not going to think about it for sure too much. Yeah.
Is there maybe another country you'd even consider? I hear there's good stuff going on in Switzerland.
Yeah, I think that's one of the better leagues in Switzerland for sure. Over in Europe, but I like Germany. I think it's a great country, and I think the first league there is a really good hockey league, and obviously there's Finland and Sweden and Russia and stuff like that. So there's a bunch of different leagues and a bunch of different options. So it's just kind of whatever happens to come along. You have to think about it for sure.
Switching gears back, we asked. This is basically the generic question that we ask all of our guests that are on the show. Going back to your junior days, if you had to name your favorite and least favorite rinks to play in the OHL.
I would say my favorite has to be probably Kitchener, just because it's unbelievable arena, and it's really close to home. And I think I only got to play there maybe once in my career, which is crazy to think about. Yeah. So that game, I had a lot of family, and it was just a cool experience because obviously those are the games that I went to growing up and stuff. So, and then the worst, wow.
There's two options that are mostly said on here, but I'll wait to see what you say first.
Wow. I'm trying to think right now.
Should start putting up a graphic.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I would say maybe Owen Sound. Just because it's just so small. Like it's just a small arena, and the boards are so hard, and it's such an old, they still have wooden seats and stuff like that. But the atmosphere is great. It's sold out every night. I think it holds only
3,000 and change.
Yeah, 3,000 or 4,000 or something like that. So I mean, it's a great atmosphere, but just a little rundown maybe for me.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start getting like what percentage of players pick this arena or whatever. But it's mostly Sudbury and Peterborough that are chosen as the worst.
Sudbury, yeah, Peterborough's corners are terrible, and Sudbury, yeah, that's a given. Sudbury for sure.
So now moving on up to the AHL level, what was your favorite and least favorite rinks?
Well, I would say Springfield probably has to be one of the worst ones I've played in. It was just super old, like I said, and at the time there was zero fans in there, and it's kind of in a sketchy area downtown there, so that might be one of the worst. And then the best, in San Jose, we played out of the SAP, so where the Sharks played. So we had a great setup there, and we obviously didn't get the same amount of fans as the Sharks did, but that was pretty cool to play every home game in a NHL arena. So you can't turn that down.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. Yeah, for sure. Well, Kyle, we really appreciate your time today. It's always great to get to meet new players that have played for the Battalion, of course, and I get to pick your brain a little bit about your career and all that stuff. And again, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, we wish you the best of luck, and hopefully we'll talk to you again when you find your team.
Yeah, for sure. I'll do that for sure. Just let me know.
All right.
Awesome stuff.
Good.
Thanks, Kyle.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
All right, that was Kyle Wood, and I love talking to players I never got to see or meet and just kind of pick their brain and just get a sense of everything. It just paints a wonderful picture of the games I so sorely wish I could have seen. We got to switch gears, though. Some big news being announced not long ago where the OHL is announcing some tangible dates to start. We didn't get that last season.
No, we did not.
We didn't get that. So now we've got the draft coming up June 4th and 5th. That one we knew for sure. But now the tentative date to start the regular season is October 7th. And that's like normal. And it's so good to say something normal. Players are going to be at training camp, Kortney, September 4th.
Yep.
Before they go on a normal 68-game season ending April 3rd and the playoffs starting on April 7th. And the finals running, I believe, on the 30th of May, and Memorial Cup, God willing, June 2nd to June 12th. You can visit the Battalion website for more information, of course. But Kortney, just some quick thoughts. I mean, finally, we didn't get this last year, and it's so good to hear from it now.
Oh my God. It feels like there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, I know that there felt like a light once the vaccines and everything started to come out that way and all that stuff. But on the major junior front, it feels like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Like
it does. And things, I'm not sure how much different things will be in October. Like, will we still be able to go to the gardens or wherever you're watching hockey and physically watch? I'm not sure.
They did say in the announcement, where is it? I could be wrong. I did see somewhere that they were looking at hoping to get fans in attendance. And it's not part of that release, but yeah. I mean, how can you not really at that, like, it's the OHL. It's not like the NHL that can survive without fans and attendance. Of course, the NHL is taking quite the hit, but
you can make up for some of it in sponsorship, but not all of it. It's not the same.
Exactly.
And I'm sure we're going to have to get our friends at Battalion HQ back on the show just to, this would be a good one to discuss and see, we can pick their brains and get the ins and outs of it. But I mean, it'd be nice. And this also includes, if I'm not mistaken, American teams as well.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. And maybe by then we'll all get a vaccine. Like, I know I'm pretty low on the priority list when it comes to who can get what. So, I play with fire every time I leave the house, but
I'm actually pretty excited. I have my appointment booked the 27th of this month.
No kidding. That's fantastic. Here it's not quite ready. So even probably by the time you're seeing this, there's a good chance I don't have it yet, but maybe soon.
They actually, so I fall into the category of essential workers that can't work from home, which just became like the new bracket. So the railway actually had to give me a letter that says I'm an essential worker and all the stuff that I have to present when I go to get my vaccine. But
Wow.
I was able to book the appointment. It took me like 2 minutes online because I'd heard some horror stories.
I yeah, I've spent some time with a friend, 2.5 hours, and we couldn't get in.
Yeah, no, I was on and booked within 2 minutes online. I couldn't believe it. And not only that, but they gave me my second date as well. So
Excellent.
yeah, I couldn't believe it. September 16th. So I'll be ready to go for October 7th.
Man, that'd be great. I hope I'm in the same boat as you, but we just had to run this. We had to run this by you
Yeah.
to make sure you didn't miss it in case you didn't spot the tweets or Facebook post or seen it on the Ontario League website. So yeah, we
There is
mentioned that. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, sorry, they do say in the release as well that there will be a complete 680 game regular season schedule to be announced soon as well. So,
And that's fantastic.
which again, we never had that last year. Like it was just, oh, the OHL wants to start this date, but it was never like the Battalion are gonna be playing Sudbury here, Owen Sound here, like it wasn't like that. It was just, oh, we want to start on this date. So with a regular, like it feels like, yeah, okay, it was disappointing that they didn't play this year, but it feels like they're doing everything in their power to be like, no, we're dropping the puck come this fall. Like it's happening.
And good if they can do it and stay healthy and
Yep.
stay safe. That's the big thing.
Yep.
Because as soon as it goes awry pretty fast.
Yes.
But I mean, last
Vancouver.
year it was like, those pranks you see with like money at the end of a string and someone starts pulling it. That was like the OHL season, and then the fans, us, were just chasing it, and we couldn't get a claw on it. So
Like
I'm glad something is out there and attainable. I want to switch gears though. Some big news involving some Battalion alumni, namely
Yes.
one, a friend of the show. Twice he's been on, Nick Paul of the Ottawa Senators. Kortney, tell us what's going on.
well, he's going to be representing Canada at the World Championships, and he's also the Ottawa Senators nominee for the Bill Masterson Trophy, which is
basically
fantastic.
like, like comeback player of the year. And man, or like the guy who's been through a lot to get to where he is. And
Yep.
he has, like, professionally,
Yes.
in a lot of games in the American Hockey League, coaches who didn't maybe know what to do with him, up and down and up in the lineup, down in the lineup. But we were talking to him not long ago when we had Mike Amadio on at the he, now he's part of the leadership group in Ottawa.
Yep. Wearing an A.
I mean, that's fantastic news. And I don't know if I've been looking up the rosters for the World Hockey Championship because it's probably one of my favorite hockey tournaments anytime it's on. And it's a young team.
It
Like
is.
everybody's taking really young players to this just to see what they got. The Americans put out their roster not long ago, and it's chock full of like 19 and 20-year-olds and guys who maybe wouldn't get a shot otherwise. So good on Nick. I'm proud of him.
No, I am too. And it's great. He's already represented Canada once at the World Juniors. And now he's going to be doing it again. He's going with his Ottawa Senators teammate Connor Brown. I saw his like listed as like one of the top line players, which is, as a former Leafs fan, it sucks to see Connor Brown go, but it also makes you feel good to know that he's doing good. Like
I've always got a soft spot for Brown in my heart. I always liked him, and it was a shame when he had to go. Because they could use a guy like him right now.
Oh, yeah.
Could they ever use a guy like him on that team?
But I mean, that's also the price of getting out of Zaitsev's contract. So I mean, it kind of works. But I mean, I miss Connor Brown. But no, on the Nick Paul front, it's great. I have an addiction, as you know, to hockey jerseys, and I have a Nick Paul one coming.
You did it.
I did it.
Did like your screen burn, or did you feel any kind of like a hand of God come and smite you when you bought a Senators jersey?
It actually surprisingly felt good.
Which one, white, black, or red?
Oh, I had to go with the black.
Okay.
I had to go with the black.
It's, man, we've said it how many times? Those Sens jerseys are so nice.
Yeah, they are. Like, you can't go wrong with any of them, but I really like the blacks. Like, they're so good.
I can't decide between the black. I can't decide between all three, the red, black, and white one. I like them all. That's what bugs me. Like, I would walk into Canadian Tire Center and saying, yes, thank you.
And your bank account would be like, whoa.
Good on. He's going to get a lot of ice time too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He hasn't been around in the league that long, but he's going to be one of the veteran players there, and he's going to be counted on for leadership. He's going to be counted on, for those big minutes. And I can't wait to see what he does, because that just, like, I know you play against some teams like Italy, Great Britain, and I know Adam Dennis is probably going to hit me on this one for saying Italy. But the caliber is not quite there,
Yeah.
but it just means, man, you get all those minutes and it makes a huge difference.
Yes. And not only that, but I look at that roster and I see him as the main penalty killer. Like he's
And
going to be out there killing penalties all the time.
and I bet on the power play, he's going to be right in front of the net.
Oh yeah. Just truck him right there.
He's getting
gonna,
good with the hand-eye coordination too.
Yeah.
I've been very impressed. So listen, the sky's the limit for Nick Paul, and I can't wait to see what he does in a Canadian uniform where he gets to wear more black, red, and white. Lucky guy.
Yeah, going from the nation's capital right to representing the country. It seems pretty fitting to me. So I do have to say, when I think about the Masterson Trophy, though, I think that's almost the same level of accomplishment to me because of how he has been up and down and up and down and up and down. Like you see some of the other guys, like I think Dominic Moore won it the year after his wife passed away and he came back and played. You see like Phil Kessel after he beat cancer and came back to play, winning it. You see like, Jason Blake, the same thing with cancer and coming back and winning. Like it's just a feel good story, and it's a great trophy. And Nick Paul is a feel good story.
I mean, there's a lot of players. You run down. Last year's winner was Bobby Ryan because he was dealing with his alcoholism. Came back and played.
Scored a hat trick in his first game back.
I mean, honestly, Robin Leonard the year before, former Sioux Greyhound, he had his own struggles with alcoholism and mental health. So it's a trophy and it doesn't discount anybody who was nominated because every team puts towards a nomination. So the Leafs, for instance, is Jack Campbell.
Yep.
He's their nominee. And it should never be a knock to any player. I mean, they all deserve it. But man, you just see some of the stories some people go through and some of the struggles. And hey, listen, he's I don't think he classified as a struggle. I think he'd probably classified as some kind of career, up and down. It just happens. And then sometimes you just figure it out. And if he gets honored for that, fantastic.
I think a big round of applause also has to go to DJ Smith too, for
a coach who finally knew, other than, with the Battalion, knows what to do with him.
Yeah. Well, because he lived against it. He lost against it, and then he came back and won the next year against it, right? Like, so if anyone, can see the potential of Nick Paul, it's him. And of course, Mike Amadio fits in that regard as well. So it's exciting times for Battalion fans, even if you're not even a Senators fan like me or you. Like,
I don't care. Hey, if he's doing good, he's doing good. I'm a happy camper. Exactly.
And you know what? He's been gracious enough to come on the show twice, like we mentioned, and doesn't have to. He's an NHL player.
Hey, he's welcome back too at any time.
Agreed, 100%. So, you know what? Congratulations, Nick Paul. It's really good to see, and it also kind of that's the thing that people when we had the mayor on, Mayor Al McDonald, he talks about civic pride with having a team, and this is like the moments that it pays off. When people complain about, like the Battalion this or the Battalion that, these are the moments that it really pays off. Is like, well, look at this guy. We saw him here for 2 years, and now he's going to wear the maple leaf. I mean,
it doesn't get much better than that.
No, it doesn't.
It's something to definitely hang your hat on. For sure. Listen.
Agreed.
If you're watching this on your TV, you probably got the shortened version, and you can find us online and catch the full episodes on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcast, and any place you see North Bay Battalion social media. We are there, and you'll love it. So we have to thank Kyle Wood for being on the guest. I'm sure Nick Paul just got a pat on the back somewhere from us somehow. And Ben Sargent, our awesome producer. Without him, we don't sound as good as we do. So if you think we sound good, that is. So he's Kortney Kenny. I'm Tom Parisi, and this was the Frontline podcast. And we had a lot of fun, and we're definitely doing it again.